Hi, everyone. Welcome to Very Paranormal, and welcome to an episode that's very different from other things that we've done. My name is Michael Lamport, and I'm the producer and narrator of the psychic series Rescue Mediums. And with me is Jackie Dennison, who is the host of the Psychic Medium show and also the owner of Feathers Academy of Clairvoyant Mediums in the UK. And we're very, very privileged to have with us Joanne Whichelow. And as you can imagine, the name, the first part of her last name is witch. And she's a witch. So Jackie knows her much better than I. So welcome, Joanne. And Jackie will be the first one to ask you questions.
Lovely, thank you.
Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Jackie.
How are you, my darling?
I'm good, thank you. It's so lovely to see you and to meet you too, Michael.
It's
nice
lovely
to meet you too.
see you. And it looks lovely and sunny where you are. So you're in Maidstone in Kent in England, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Beautiful part of England. And I can see that you've got lots of bottles and jars and things behind you. And things pinned up above your head onto the ceiling there.
Yes, I have pictures that I've just laminated, things that I embrace as part of my life, pictures of animals I've owned that have passed away, even back to a donkey I had when I was 5. Pictures, there's a lot of pictures of cake, Jackie, because a lot of cake goes down in the witch's hideaway.
Well, of course it does. Of course, I need to pay you a visit. So
yes,
we're going to talk about the witch's hideaway shortly, but you are a witch. So, you know, people have a misconception about that word witch, don't they? They automatically think, oh yeah, the wicked witch here. You know, we're back to Wizard of Oz straight away, and it's the wicked witch. So are you a good witch or bad witch?
Do you know what? I'm a balance in between, I think, because I like to think that good witch and bad witch, for me, it shouldn't be either label. It should be just something that embraces all of it, not the bad side necessarily, but a side where you're prepared to take action when you have to or when you're required to, you know, if you're helping somebody out. So I like to think it's a balance of all of it. And I'm just a witch. A lot of people say you're a black witch, a white witch. I'm just a witch. I'm a balance.
I like that. I'm just a witch. You know, as you do. I'm just a witch. Well, you know,
sorry, Joanne, when did you get into witchcraft? Because it's funny that you're in Maidstone, because I was born in Southend-on-Sea, and the Royal Daffodil boat used to go from Maidstone to Southend.
Oh my God!
I know, it's weird. I could probably wave to your town from my not mine, but my parents' house.
Yeah, you could. Oh my goodness, small world.
I know. So when did you actually get into witchcraft as it's an art, not a science, or is it a science and not an art, or is it both? I don't know.
I like to call it my craft. And I've been interested in all things witchcraft since I was a very small girl. And I'd be the little girl out in the backyard making the mud pies with all the herbs and flowers and all sorts of things. And, you know, people used to think, oh, goodness me, what a mess, but how cute. You know, and looking back now, you know, I see that sort of thing running through me, even from being very small. But I was raised a Jehovah's Witness, and it was a massive no-go. You know, so
oh,
I couldn't
my goodness.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a big change, because yeah, Jehovah's Witness, you know, I don't want to disrespect them at all, but I always think of them as the people that knock on your door every so often and just say, hey, would you like a copy of Watchtower?
That's right.
And I'm like, not really, thanks.
Yeah, I know. And, you know, it's like everything, Michael. There's good and bad in all of it, you know. And it was very structured. It was a very strict life, and I was My parents became baptized as Jehovah's Witnesses when I was 3 years of age, so I really knew no other life. And I finally left when I was around 23 years of age, managed to sort of break away from it. But I've always seen spirit, and I've always been aware of magic and things out there, but taught to be frightened of them and to run away from them. So it was a very difficult journey.
So when you deal with your magic as a witch, like what sort of magic do you do? You've talked about like making some food and stuff like that. Like what other stuff would you do?
So what do I do now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do lots of healing spells for people. I get requests for all sorts of weird and wonderful spells. It has to be said, you know, this walk of life attracts, you know, the good and the weird and wonderful as well. And you know, one of my first ever clients at the Witch's Hideaway wanted a spell for a lottery win and a lot of women in his life, and I just reminded him to close the door on the way out. You know, I was very polite about it, but I'm not the witch for you, young man. You know, so sent him on his way. You know, I anything I do, Michael, magically, is to try and help. Either help myself, help heal in particular ways, help other people heal. It's never a matter of forcing free will. That should never be brought into it. So I don't do love spells, for instance.
You don't do what?
Love spells for people's relationships.
Oh, right.
So I get a lot of requests, Michael, for people who would like their partner back, because he should be with me, he needs to be with me, you know, we were destined together and he's left me for another lady, and I'd like them blocked and him to be returned to me. And I'm just like, you know, I'm really sorry, but I can't interfere with that. You know, it's not my business. You shouldn't be forcing free will.
No, and also things like that, I think, are just the way people's lives go. And so you're right, you can't, because otherwise you become like a Salem witch, where you come in and you go like, whoa. And that's not, I believe, what you are about in witchcraft.
No.
I think.
No, most definitely not. I believe witchcraft should be something that is used to help people, to empower people, to enrich their lives, to teach them that they can connect with Mother Earth themselves and bring them the peace and the comfort and the joy that comes from that. I'm so blessed to be able to do what I do, and if I can share a fraction of that with others and show them that it's within their grasp too, then my work is a happy one, and I'm good with that.
So it's a very you approach it as a very positive aspect. Like wasn't it like last month or the end of this month in the Wiccan calendar, the solstice?
Yeah, well, we've got a Lunasa coming up soon, otherwise known as Lammas. We have a festival coming up, but I'm not Wiccan. You see, I'm more of a traditional witch. Yeah, I'm not Wiccan. They are very different. Wiccan, you know, to my knowledge and understanding, was created by Gerald Gardner in the 50s. And you know, traditional witchcraft goes much further back, many centuries ago, to, you know, wise men, wise women in the village, you know, and helping and healing and curing, things like that. So I go back to that side of it, not to the Wiccan side.
So you think the Wiccan is sort of a more contemporary aspect?
It's do you know what, Michael, what it is for me? It's very structured, and to me it's like swapping the Jehovah's Witnesses for another set of rules and guidelines, and it doesn't sit with me at all. And you know, I'm sure I know Wicca has many beautiful aspects of it, and I know many happy, peaceful Wiccans, many wonderful people who live and breathe it, and that's fantastic, but it's just not where I fall in. It was too structured for me, and I'm more of an eclectic witch. I pick bits and pieces and I work my own path as opposed to following one.
So do you grow your own herbs and things like that, Joanne?
I do. I do have a little witchy garden, and it is improving all the time. It's got things like fennel, lavender, rosemary, curry plants, camellias, many different types of roses. It's got all sorts of goodies in it now. But there are some things I still have to buy in.
Right. And how did you learn to use those? Did you go somewhere to learn, or is it, do you feel it's just like it's a natural thing that you just instinctively know?
I kind of knew a couple of people who worked in similar ways, and I read an awful lot of books and I did my own research. But you know, the greatest teacher, you know, if you want to know what a tree does, what a plant is for, you know, sit with it. The greatest teacher is Mother Earth herself.
Yes.
So sit with that tree, spend time with it, embrace it, you know, and let that connection flow. And then you will know exactly what it does, you know. So that's the way I work now.
I love you because I'm a tree hugger.
Oh, me too. Oh, trees. Trees are my thing. I absolutely adore trees. Have done since I was tiny. All trees, love them.
And so it makes sense
true,
now,
isn't
doesn't
it?
it? It makes sense now why, since a child, that you've done all these things. That it's all sort of slotting into place. Now's the time. Everything's coming together right now. Now's the time.
That's it.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, life was so up and down for me for many years. As you know, Jackie, you know. So it was. It wasn't until I met my husband Roger that I found, you know, peace, and he has always encouraged me to follow my path and to follow my heart and to embrace what I love and explore it. And he's always supported everything I do. He may not necessarily understand it or love him, but he's like, you know, when I said, you know, I'd like a big garden shed and turn it into a witch's hideaway, he went, okay, darling, no problem.
What a sweetheart.
So yeah, he is. So, you know, I didn't come to be able to explore it all fully, including my work with spirit, until I was in my mid-30s.
Yeah.
And I'm 51 now.
It's just the right time. You see, it's all about timing, isn't it? And that's how spirit planned that. Do you think in a past life that you have been in this sort of, you've been involved with the craft in a past life, and that's where it carries on from? Yeah.
I know I have. I've had past life regression, and I know I have. Yeah. Yeah, and it's amazing. A lot of the ladies I work with and teach, it seems like we've all been brought together and we've all got a connection somewhere, you know, and I fully believe in, you know, trusting spirit to guide me to where I need to be, you know, and if, you know, if I, for instance, if I was to become rich and famous doing what I do, you know, so be it. But, you know, if that's what spirit want me to do, fine. If I'm forever sat in my shed in the witch's hideaway, so be it. I'm happy. I just trust spirit, Jackie, massively. I am so blessed to have the connection with them that I do.
Yeah,
I think that's amazing, and I love personally the fact that you talk about the connection to Mother Earth, because I mean I find myself sometimes, especially now because we have lockdown here in Canada, and that's why my hair is so long, and yeah, I know I look like a warlock.
You look fine.
And but I sit outside, and it's amazing that if people take the time to do that, you can almost hear something from the earth, from the flowers, from the trees. It's you know, then maybe not talking to you in the language that you speak, but they are talking to you in something that you feel inside.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what witchcraft is, because as Jackie said earlier, there's always this conundrum around witchcraft, which is sort of like, you know, ha ha ha. And that's not the case.
Well, I'm not sure, Michael. If you saw me first thing in the morning, you might disagree, but very much rocking that ha 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 look.
Well, then I feel sorry for Roger.
Yes, so do I, to be honest. Oh, bless you.
You know, on your website, you talk about witches' bottles.
Yes.
What are the witches' bottles?
So I have one here to show you.
All right.
Here is a witch's bottle. This is a small example of one.
Yeah.
So I collect many different types of car boot sales, charity shops, anywhere and everywhere.
Fabulous.
Little glass bottles, big glass bottles, all shapes and sizes and colours. For instance, here's another one. So I collect all these things. Witches' bottles are used as a form of protection. So in here you would place particular herbs of your choice, some pins, There is a knot spell in here, and there is some red wine. It just keeps everything nice. And in days gone by, people used to put their own bodily fluids in them, such as urine, because it made them a very, very personal item. So if I hold the camera, you can see that there's bits and pieces floating around in it.
Right.
Yeah. I have a nice ribbon round the top because I love this colour, midnight blue. It's sealed with black wax, which sends back the negativity. Right. The story is that the pins inside, anyone sending negative energy, and it comes here, it will hit that pin and disperse and just go back out. It's like it just disperses it, like a pop in a balloon.
Right.
So it's but they can be all shapes and sizes. You can use them, although they were traditionally used for protection. A lot of people make them for healing now. They can be made to look very decorative. For instance, this is a bottle of oil that I use, but you can put coloured ribbons, charms.
Oh no! Wow.
Yeah. All sorts of bits and pieces. You can put crystals in them. Yeah. And they're great fun to make. It's very therapeutic.
Yeah.
And they look beautiful. Some people bury them in their gardens, you know, to do their work. Some people can't have them on display, so they'll hide them in the cupboard somewhere. Some people just put them on their kitchen window ledge, wherever you feel the need. That is that
the maid is the intent, isn't it, with which they're put together?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So this one, for instance, has rosemary in it, cinnamon, mugwort, Himalayan salt, all things for protection. For good energy, for spiritual cleansing, all that sort of thing.
Yeah. Do you teach?
I would love it if people took stuff like that and put it on display in their homes, because first of all, what you have, it looks very, very attractive, and to have people sort of say like, "Oh, what's that?" and then the person can explain, well, it's this concoction or this or this. And this is what it means. I think that would be really good for people.
It's lovely to be able to do that, but there are some ladies that I teach that, you know, perhaps their partners aren't quite as embracing of the craft, and they find it a little bit scary. They don't want to touch it or know about it, so the ladies sort of pop them in their gardens or somewhere out of sight, you know, where it won't cause anyone any worry.
Well, I think they're worried about it because they probably know that the vase is going to find something out about them that they don't want anybody else to know.
Do you know what? That could well be the case. I know of somebody recently who went to a centre, a spiritual centre, and was asked to remove their labradorite crystal, which was a gift from their husband, because the person told them it was a very dark crystal and they shouldn't be wearing it. When in actual fact, it's a very protective stone. And I said to this lady, you know, there's only one reason why they're asking you to remove it, so don't. Keep it on. Very naughty.
Good advice. Very good advice. So what have you got on the shelf behind you there, Jo?
So, Jackie, these are many, many jars of different herbs and resins, things from my own garden, things, for instance, from the tree at the end of my path. See the little helicopters? Yeah.
What do you use them all for? Do people come in and buy those, or do you use them when you're making things, when you're doing potions and things?
I use them when I'm making things, and also because I teach witchcraft, and because ladies come and sometimes, you know, want to make a witch's bottle or a witch's ball or something like that. Yeah. You know, I've got all the stuff they need, because obviously some people have, you know, they want to do it for healing, they want to do it for protection, they want to do it for a particular reason, and obviously each herb will tailor to that. So that's a bit like a prescription, really, I suppose. It's a bit like a chemist, except we're not taking it internally.
Do you find that most people want healing?
Yeah, most people just want peace, you know, Michael. Peace in themselves, because life is such a frantic pace for people. It's eat, sleep, work, repeat, you know, and it's families, and obviously with COVID and everything, it's been quite a really rough time for humanity in general, as I'm sure you guys know. And a lot of people just want something to help them feel at peace with themselves. A lot of people carry emotional trauma that they just don't feel comfortable talking to people about, or they don't want to go and see a counsellor for some reason. So I invariably find, you know, people in here who have emotional wounds and scars, and they want to do something practical for themselves, but they feel is going to help them on a spiritual and emotional level. So yeah, this is where things like witches' bottles, witches' baubles, and general little helpful spells come in handy.
Have you ever had anybody? I've got to ask this because I'm not a warlock, even though my hair looks like it, and I'm not a witch. But have you ever had anybody sort of react to you, going like, "Oh my God, she's a witch," and be scared?
No, not. I have to be honest. I'm quite lucky. I mean, in my local pub, where I now and then have a drink with my husband, a couple of people down there know, and you know, to start with, they were like, "Ooh," you know, every time I walked in, "Here she is, spooky lady," you know. And it was all fun and games until I started reading my tea leaves in there one night, and then all of a sudden they were presenting me with their beer glasses to read the remnants of their beer. So now they don't mock it anymore. Now they're like, "Oh, Joe, I've just finished this pint. Would you have a look for me, please?" So it's quite good fun.
Oh my goodness! Because you're an intuitive medium as well, aren't you, Joe?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah, and you do readings. So
I do.
So do people come to you in the Witches' Hideaway for the readings?
Yes, they do. Although obviously during COVID and the lockdown and everything and the restrictions placed upon us, I've been using internet, Zoom, you know, FaceTime, all that sort of stuff, and doing readings that way, so that people can still, you know, get the help and guidance they need. But obviously we're all safe and protected.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love my readings. I love working with spirit, and my ancestors help me do my readings, and they are so funny, and they're really quite naughty.
Yeah.
And they are very. I mean, one of them in particular, you know, if he's got someone in front of him who he feels, you know, has been told countless times to sort this out and still won't listen, he just puts his hands up and walks off like this, and he just leaves me sat there. And I'm looking at this person, and I'm saying, "Oh, you know, welcome to the Witches' Hideaway, lovely to see you." And in this ear, I'm going, "For goodness sake, get back over here now." You know, it's quite comical.
You've got.
But I love that, Jackie, because
Exactly.
I have a big sense of fun. You know what I'm like. I love to laugh, and it's how it works. Laughter attracts good energy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sorry about the dogs barking. You are in my dining room. I have got dogs, so just let me go and just tell them, yell at them to shut.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to have this is live what we're doing. And so you've just dealt with your dogs. I've just got to go and let my cat in.
Oh. And this is why I'm in the Witches' Hideaway, because my dogs are in the house, so it's fine. They're in there with Kieran. I said to Kieran, just feed the dogs at 4 o'clock. Keep your eye on them.
Oh, bless. Oh. You know, when you're doing your intuitive readings, when you're working on that level, and you're working with the spirit in that way, I've noticed on your website that you've put an explanation of how you work, and you've said that you help people to remove blockages whilst you're doing a reading, because you're a Reiki healer as well, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you bring the healing energies in at the same time. I think, do you encompass everything together? Do you think within one reading?
It's a bit of it all together, to be honest, Jackie.
Yeah.
But I find the way that spirit get me to work, it is like performing psychic surgery in a way, because sometimes people, my husband keeps saying to me, you know, you need to train as a counsellor, because obviously I'm not a counsellor. But invariably I end up, you know, having to say to people, look, I'm not a counsellor, but I will help you as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just helping them believe in themselves and realise that somebody is listening, somebody loves them, somebody's offering a hand of friendship, a smile, a cup of tea, a place to sit. And it's a very healing energy in the Witches' Hideaway. And I think the whole thing combined just helps people to suddenly release. It's not uncommon for ladies to suddenly, and gents to suddenly burst into tears, because they've just let go.
Yeah, yeah, and that's that lovely healing energy.
Maybe that's well, I'm thinking though, Jackie, that Joanne, maybe it's where you say that, you know, you're not a counselor, but I mean, as a witch, you are counseling people, and in a very, very positive way. I mean, you know,
absolutely,
because counselors are sometimes very detached and very, I guess, professional, but they don't seem to sometimes maybe care enough about people, whereas you sort of get more into their psyche.
Massively, Michael. Do you know, if everybody could just have a little bit of that giving a damn about the next person, the world would be so much a better place. And I literally cannot bear another's pain. I have to do whatever I possibly can to help them, because I just consider it my responsibility, really. And my husband sometimes says, oh, you know, don't take too much on, sweetheart, you know, you'll make yourself ill and you'll be tired and everything else. But I just cannot be any other way. I love people too much, and I want to make a difference, Michael. And you know, and if that's what I'm doing, sat in this lovely shed, the witch's hideaway, because it is just a garden shed at the end of the day. Oh, it's quite a big one, you know. But if I can make a difference, and then that person feels better and goes out and makes a difference to someone else and to someone else, it's like the ripples in the pond, you know. And then the world might be getting a better place, or at least Maidstone.
Well, Kent is a great place anyway.
Well, I think Maidstone are really benefiting from you being there, Joe. I really do. And you do house clearances as well, don't you? I mean, I don't mean you go in and say, oh, I'll have that bottle over there because I can make a bottle out of that.
Roll up with a big truck and a horse and cart. Load it up, fellas. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not like that. No, I help people. Well, I've been a paranormal investigator for about 17 years. Yeah. And I have a team of people, and we go out and do investigations, and invariably we do get called on from time to time to help troubled spirits move on, to bring peace back to a home, you know. And you know what I find, Jackie, 9 times out of 10, it's just somebody who's lost, or a spirit who just wants recognition, very often just saying a simple hello, and that's it.
I know.
There's no great magic. Well, you know, of course, you know. Look at you with rescue mediums. I mean, incredible. But they just want recognition. They want somebody to say, I hear you, I feel you, I see you, you know, be at peace, it's okay, you know, and to give them a little bit of healing. And then it sort of diffuses itself. I've never had to, you know, roll up with a big case full of herbs and sulphur and throw things at stuff, and you know, it's nothing like that.
Well, you'd be well equipped if you needed to.
I would. I would. Well, I think the most that they'll get in a house clearance is a smudge stick, you know, something nice with rosemary, a traditional English herb, you know, to burn, and some nice lavender or something like that. Yeah. And that's just to help them, you know, cleanse and clear.
Have you ever looked into, in your life as a paranormal investigator and also as a witch, have you ever looked into missing people?
No.
You know?
No, never. It's never taken me in that direction, and I'm probably quite relieved, if I'm honest, because I would find that very upsetting. That would. I don't think I deal with that terribly well, if I'm really honest. I just think I would become too, you know, buried in it and
emotionally involved.
I found them.
Yeah.
Because of the emotion attached to it, you know, I'm very, I really feel other people's pain, and I think that would probably not be good for me at all.
I think that it's good. Everybody has to know what, I know we were talking about boundaries earlier on, but sometimes we need our own boundaries, don't we? As to what we, you know, like you saying to people who come to you for spells and things that maybe offer on behalf of other people, or, you know, they want a spell because they want, you know, they want the boyfriend back or the girlfriend back, or as you said, you know, they want to win the lottery or whatever. It's got to be the right intent with that. And what I really like about you, Joe, is it's not about, oh, I'll do this for you and I'll just take your money and do that. You do this because you really care. And,
I really do.
If you feel it's wrong or it's not within your boundary, you are not afraid to say, no, I'm sorry, that's not what I do, you know. Wishing you well, but that's not what I do. You know.
I have to, Jackie, because I have to be true to spirit.
Yeah.
And if I'm not, then I'm what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
For me, it starts and ends there. It's about the love of the spirit world and my craft, and bringing those two things together.
Yeah.
And if I don't do it with honesty and with love and integrity, then, you know, there's no point, none at all.
Yeah.
Not for me. I know there are a lot out there who will, yes, that'll be X amount of money, thanks very much, next.
Yeah.
You know, I've worked at many a psychic fair, you know, where the mediums will have a timer. They'll have just connected with someone's mum, the timer will go off and they'll go, oh, sorry, your time's up.
Yeah.
You know, and then they end up at my stall and I end up, you know, doing it and sitting there with them for 2 hours. That means I miss an awful lot of work. But it doesn't matter, because what matters is that the person doesn't go out of there in floods of tears and sees mediums in a bad way.
Yeah.
It's
see
about
that.
representing the world of spirit in the
Exactly.
best possible way.
I see that as the door to value. That is
Yeah.
value.
Yeah.
That is because you value your craft and you value your empathy in the human life and in the world. So yeah, I think you're wonderful. I think you're incredible, and I think everybody should visit your website and take a look at what you do and the things that you sell there. And we're going to put your website details at the end of this video. And if anybody wants to contact you, they are quite welcome to contact you through your website. And I'd love for us to have a chat again in the future and do this again sometime.
I'd love to. I'd be honoured to. Honestly, it's wonderful to connect with you both, and it's wonderful for me to have an opportunity to explain the beautiful side of the craft and working with spirit and the right way it should be done. Nothing to be scared of. It's an empowering and healing thing to be part of.
Yeah.
And I think that people that are watching this now that aren't necessarily spiritual, that believe that a psychic or a witch can give them the lottery numbers, I think they've got to sort of give their heads a shake. That's not how it works. Because if it was how it works, we'd all be millionaires.
Hey, if that was how it worked, I'd be sat in a castle doing this, not a garden shed. It really doesn't work like that. And you know what though, I feel that doing my craft, it teaches you to be happy with what you have and to value and to show gratitude for every little thing you have in life. I've been in many places of darkness in my life, and I feel that, you know, I don't regret that, I don't resent that at all. I've taken that as part of what it's made me who I am today, and to have a good approach to life. And I'm grateful for that. You know, you have to find the blessings in everything, otherwise life's not worth getting out of bed for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you're right.
Absolutely.
You're a wonderful, wonderful witch.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. That means the world to me. Thank you.
Okay, we'll love you and leave you, and we'll hope to see you again.
Oh, Jackie, thank you so much for this lovely opportunity, and blessings to you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye, my loves.
Bye.